You have 4,000 weeks. That's it. And you have already spent some of them. Possibly many of them. Most people, when they hear this, feel a flash of urgency. Then the phone buzzes. The day continues, and the number retreats back into comfortable abstraction. Carl Jung called this the most significant psychological phenomenon of modern life. Not addiction, not anxiety. The inability to live with genuine awareness of how short this actually is. Because the person who honestly faces the shortness of their life doesn't become paralyzed. They become free. 1. The mathematics of a human life. Let's be precise, because precision is what this subject requires. If you live to 80 years old, you have 29,200 days, 700,800 hours, 42 million minutes. These numbers sound large. They are not large. Subtract the time you will spend asleep, approximately 1/3 of your life. You are now at approximately 19,467 waking days. Subtract childhood, the years before you had the cognitive capacity to choose how your time was spent. You are now at approximately 16,000 days of adult waking life. Subtract the time spent on the necessary maintenance of existence, eating, commuting, hygiene, errands, the 10,000 small tasks that constitute keeping a life running. Subtract the time lost to illness, to recovery, to the years when your physical capacity will be diminished. What remains, the time available for genuine living, for chosen engagement, for the work and love and experience that constitute what you actually want from your time on Earth, is far smaller than the original number suggested. And here is the question Jung would ask you to sit with honestly. How much of what remains are you spending on what actually matters to you? Not what should matter. Not what you tell yourself matters. What actually, genuinely, when you are honest with yourself in the quiet moments, matters. Because the mathematics of a human life are unforgiving. You cannot save time, cannot invest it and collect interest, cannot borrow against future weeks to compensate for wasted ones. It simply moves, at the same rate, for everyone, regardless of what you do with it. 2. Why you don't feel how short it is. The fact that you are not walking around in constant awareness of your mortality is not an accident. It is a design feature. Terror management theory, one of the most well-supported frameworks in modern psychology, proposes that the entirety of human civilization, in a very real sense, is a defense against the awareness of death. Our achievements, our belief systems, our cultural narratives, our obsession with legacy and meaning, and the marks we leave on the world. All of it, at least partially, constructed to manage the terror of knowing, as the only species on Earth that knows, that we are going to die. Jung's framework is different, but arrives at a similar place. He observed that the unconscious, the vast, ungoverned territory of the psyche beneath conscious awareness, does not experience time the way the conscious mind does. The unconscious has no clock. It does not distinguish between past and future in the way the conscious mind does. It operates in a kind of eternal present, which is why the grief of 20 years ago can feel immediate in a dream, why the fear installed in childhood can govern decisions in middle age. And because the unconscious has no clock, because the deepest layer of the psyche does not experience time as finite, the conscious mind, left to its own devices, tends to treat the future as an unlimited resource. I will do that later. I will become that person eventually. I will live that life once the conditions are right. Later. Eventually. Once. These are the words of a person who does not genuinely believe that the time is limited. Who knows it intellectually? Yes, of course, everyone dies, but does not feel it in the way that would change how they spend tomorrow. Jung called this one of the most costly confusions available to a human being. The confusion between knowing something and living as though you know it. 3. The unlived life, Jung's most important concept. Here is the cost that Jung spent his career measuring. Not the cost of dying, the cost of not fully living before you do. He called it the unlived life. The accumulation of everything you postponed, suppressed, avoided, or simply never got around to, because the time was not right, the conditions were not perfect, the risk was too high, the fear was too large. The book you were going to write, the country you were going to live in, the conversation you were going to have, the relationship you were going to repair, the work you were going to pursue when things settled down, the person you were going to become when you finally had time. Jung observed that the unlived life does not simply wait patiently. It accumulates pressure. It appears in the middle of the night as a formless anxiety, with no identifiable source. It appears in the depression that arrives not from external circumstances, but from the interior, from the widening gap between who you are and who you know you could be. It appears in the bitterness of people who have lived safely and feel, somewhere beneath the safety, the specific ache of a life that was never fully inhabited. And it appears, Jung observed this consistently in his clinical practice, in the second half of life. The midlife crisis is not about sports cars and younger partners. It is the eruption of the unlived life, demanding finally to be lived. Demanding it with urgency, sometimes with desperation, because the mathematics have become undeniable. There is less time ahead than behind. And what was postponed to later can no longer be deferred to later. Later is now. And some laters have already expired. 4. What mortality actually clarifies. Here is where Jung departs from everything the culture teaches about death. The culture teaches avoidance. Don't think about it. It's morbid. It's depressing. Focus on the positive. Live in the moment, which, paradoxically, most people interpret as permission to not think about the fact that the moments are finite. Jung's clinical observation was the precise opposite. The patients who had genuinely integrated awareness of their own mortality, who had sat with the fact honestly, allowed it to do what it does when honestly faced, were not the most depressed people in his practice. They were the most alive. Not in the manic, desperate way of someone trying to outrun time. In the specific, quiet, clarifying way of someone who knows what the time is for. Because mortality, honestly encountered, performs a function that nothing else can replicate. It burns away the unimportant. Not through willpower or discipline or the careful management of priorities, automatically, naturally, as the inevitable consequence of genuinely knowing that the time is limited. When you know, really know, in your bones, that you have a finite number of days remaining, the question of how to spend them becomes suddenly, urgently real. And in the clarity of that urgency, certain things fall away without effort. The grudge you have been carrying becomes, in the light of mortality, simply not worth the days it costs. The approval you have been chasing becomes, in the light of mortality, a strange use of the time available. The version of yourself you have been performing, rather than the one you actually are, becomes, in the light of mortality, a waste so profound it is almost unbearable to contemplate. What remains, after the burning, is the actual relationships, the actual work, the actual experience of being alive in this body, on this earth, in this brief window. Stripped of performance, stripped of deferral, stripped of the comfortable assumption that there will be more time to do it right later. This, now, this is what is left. And this, only this, is where the genuine life lives. 5. The lies we tell ourselves about time. Jung was precise about the specific self-deceptions that make the shortness of life bearable and costly. Let's name them directly. The first lie, I have time. The most universal, the most costly. The assumption, operating beneath conscious awareness in almost everyone, that the future is a large, well-stocked resource available to fund all the things that can't quite fit into the present. I have time to repair that relationship. I have time to pursue that direction. I have time to become more fully myself. I have time to have the conversation, to make the change, to begin. You may have time. You probably have some time. But you do not have unlimited time. And the things you are deferring to this abundant future, some of them will run out of time before you do. The second lie, I will feel ready. The belief that at some future point, when the conditions are right, when the fear has subsided, when you feel more certain, you will be ready to begin. Jung's observation was blunt. The feeling of readiness is not a prerequisite for beginning. It is a consequence of having begun. The person waiting to feel ready before starting is waiting for something that only starting can produce. Meanwhile, the weeks pass. The third lie, the important things can wait. This is the most insidious lie because it contains a truth. The important things can wait. They are patient. They make no urgent demands. The unimportant things are loud. They have deadlines. They arrive in your inbox. They require immediate response. And so life fills, naturally, automatically, without any malicious intention, with the urgent unimportant. While the important, the relationship, the work that matters, the becoming that has been calling, waits. Quietly, patiently, until one day it is no longer waiting, because the time available for it has run out. The fourth lie, I will be remembered. The deep, often unconscious belief that the legacy, the mark left on the world, will extend the self beyond its biological limit. Jung did not dismiss this entirely. Legacy can be meaningful, but he observed that when the desire for legacy becomes the primary driver, when the need to be remembered replaces the need to genuinely live, it produces a specific tragedy. The person so focused on how they will be seen after they are gone, that they are not fully present while they are here. Trading the actual experience of being alive for the management of a reputation that will outlast the living of the life. 6. How to actually hold the shortness. Jung's prescription is not what most people expect. He did not recommend a daily practice of contemplating death, not a meditation on mortality as a discipline, not a dramatic confrontation with the void. He recommended something more ordinary and more demanding. He recommended genuine presence, not as a spiritual concept, as a psychological practice. The practice of being actually here, in the specific, irreplaceable moment that is currently happening, rather than managing the past, planning the future, or performing for an imagined audience. This sounds simple. For most people, it is almost impossible, because the mind, left to its own devices, is almost never in the present. It is reviewing what happened, rehearsing what might happen, constructing narratives about the past, strategizing about the future, doing everything with great efficiency, except being here. And the cost of this perpetual absence is specific and enormous. The conversation that was not fully received, because part of you was already on to the next thing. The meal that was not tasted, because the phone was on the table. The sunset that was photographed but not seen. The child's question that was answered but not genuinely engaged with. The moment of beauty that passed while you were thinking about something else. These are not small losses. They are the substance of a life. Passing, unregistered, because you were not there to receive them. Jung's observation was this: a person who is genuinely present for their life, who actually inhabits their experience rather than managing it from a slight remove, lives more in a single day than an absent person lives in a decade. Not more time, more life, the same hours. Radically different experience, because one person is actually there, 7. What the short life asks of you. This is the section that changes the question. Because most people, when confronted with the shortness of life, hear it as an accusation. You are wasting your time. You are not doing enough. You are not becoming enough. You are not living enough. Jung's framework points somewhere different. The shortness of life is not an accusation. It is an invitation. An invitation to a specific kind of clarity that is only available to beings who know they are finite. The tree does not know it will die. The mountain does not know it will erode. Only the human being, alone among all living things, knows that the time is limited. And this knowledge, this specific, terrible, extraordinary gift of knowing, is the source of everything that makes human life capable of meaning. Art exists because humans know they will die. Love has the quality it has because humans know they will lose each other. Courage is possible only because humans know the cost of cowardice in a finite life. The shortness is not the enemy of the life. It is the condition that makes the life matter. And what it asks of you, specifically, practically, beginning now, is not a grand gesture, not a dramatic restructuring of everything. One honest question, asked with genuine seriousness. Given that this is the time I have, given that it is shorter than I feel and more precious than I act, what does it want from me? Not what should it want from me, not what would look impressive from the outside. What does it actually, genuinely, in the private, honest place beneath all the performance, want from me? The answer to that question, whatever it is the direction. And the direction, followed with genuine commitment in whatever time remains, is the life. 8. The 7 practices of genuine temporal honesty. Not motivational instructions. The actual architecture of how to hold the shortness without being paralyzed by it. Practice 1. Calculate your weeks. Not as a morbid exercise, as a grounding one. Take your current age, subtract it from 80, multiply by 52. This is approximately how many weeks you have remaining. Write the number down. Look at it. Let it be real for a few minutes before you move on. The number is not there to frighten you. It is there to focus you. Practice 2. Identify what you have been deferring. Not in the abstract. Specifically, what have you been telling yourself you will do later, become eventually, pursue once the conditions are right? Write it down, all of it. And then, for each item, ask honestly, if later never comes, how will I feel about having deferred this? Practice 3. Spend 1 hour per week in genuine solitude with no stimulus. No phone, no music, no podcast, no task, just time, moving through you, without distraction. This practice, sustained over weeks and months, builds a different relationship with time, one where you can feel it moving rather than simply managing it. Practice 4. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. The relationship with the unresolved thing, the person you have been meaning to call, the truth you have been meaning to tell. The weeks in which these things could have happened are already gone. The ones remaining are not guaranteed. Practice 5. Do one thing this week that the fear has been preventing. Not the biggest thing, the next one. The one that has been sitting at the edge of your attention, waiting for you to be ready. You are not going to be more ready than you are now. Begin. Practice 6. Be present for one ordinary thing each day with complete attention. A meal, a conversation, a walk, a moment with someone you love, not photographed, not managed, not partially attended to while something else runs in the background. Completely here, for one ordinary thing. This is not a small practice. This is the practice. Practice 7. Ask the question before you sleep. Not anxiously, with genuine curiosity. Did I live today? Was I actually here for it? Not,